people don't realize how technical the bench press is and how many things you can do wrong, even if you're strong. And that I would put myself in that category. I mean, even up until so many years ago, I mean, I would, you know, I'm stronger than the average Joe, but just applying some of these tips that people are just about to hear dramatically improves your technique and your numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
I think a couple things can happen. One, a lot of these techniques, you will see an immediate gain in your bench press. Like, it sounds ridiculous when someone says, like, lose 10 pounds overnight or increase your bench press 20 pounds by listening to a podcast, but some of these tips are that powerful that if you make these changes, you can instantly get stronger. But I will also tell you that some of these tips you have to practice. So it could be taking one step backwards to take 2 steps forward. Yeah. Trying this new technique, you're actually weaker, but then give it a couple months and now you're going to be stronger and get through that rut or that plateau that you've been in.
Yeah. And the first one that you start with is kind of like your number one tip. In fact, there's a video on YouTube, I believe, at Chandler Marchman's old place, right, where you're sitting on a bench press. And it's kind of a rather short video, but I think that's like your number one bench press tip.
Yeah, you could look that one up, youtube.com/criticalbench, and then just use that search bar and type number one bench press tip. You can see the video if you want to see exactly what we're talking about with this tip.
Yeah.
But the tip is to tuck your elbows in. Now, before going to the powerlifting gym and just working out in the gyms and talking with everybody else and doing what your teammates do, it was just natural to flare your elbows out to the side, pretty much perpendicular to your body, flared out. The bar would come down and touch kind of like your nipples are higher up on your chest. And that works really good when you're young. As you get older or the more you're bench pressing, that style of bench press puts a lot of strain on your shoulders and your deltoids.
So now that we got our breathing down and we're starting to fix bar position and everything else, and arm position, what's the next things for people to focus on?
Well, one of the other big questions you always get for increasing your bench, what kind of rep ranges should I be doing? Again, we're talking about strength. I had a foundation of getting to the body weight that I wanted to be. I competed at the 242-pound weight class when I was in college. You know, I played outside linebacker weighing like 230 pounds. But I'll tell you, all through high school, I was a smaller guy, a wide receiver and a cornerback, and we all did like 12 to 15 reps when we first started lifting. It was nuts too. I had a YMCA right by the house, and you've been there with me many times, and we would just do like every body part every day for like 2 hours. It is like the complete definition of overtraining, and we were still getting stronger. It's like when you're starting out, you can do pretty much anything and it still works. Yeah. But getting to college, I was not fast enough to be playing like in the secondary as a safety or a cornerback, but I knew I could put on some muscle. So I was getting bigger, I was getting stronger, and then one of the captains of the football team was like, "Why do you lift such high reps? You need to drop down to like 3 reps or 5 reps for your sets." And I had never done this. All through high school, it was like high rep training, like 10, 15 reps. When I dropped down my reps to 3 reps and sets of like 5 reps, even just 5x5 training, which is very popular. It's a great combination of both strength and size workouts. If you're looking for a little of both, 5 sets of 5 reps on compound lifts is a great place to start. And that's when I put on like 60 pounds on my bench in like one off season, just from dropping the reps down like that. Then we get to fast forward, and I'm at the 400-pound bench, and I'm getting into competing and learning about gear, and there is no high rep training for strength. All strength stuff is like under 5 reps. Unless you're doing a speed workout where you're taking like half of your max and just practicing your explosiveness, you're lifting heavy weights for 5 reps, 4 reps, 3 reps, and you really don't max out. That's a whole other topic. We would max out at the competitions, but I will tell you this, like going to the gym every Monday was like National Bench Press Day at every gym across the country on Monday nights. And for some reason, you do your bench press sets and then you like max out. First of all, you're tired because you've already been working out. You're not going to like break a record. And then you can't max out every week. You're just going to fry your nervous system, and you're actually probably going to get weaker by doing that.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, there's a wrist tip too, because you got to transfer the power directly in a straight line to the bar. And if you've got a lot of people, you'll see they hold the bar too high in their hands, and then their wrists bend back.
Yeah, I have that problem.
You do, but you've gotten better at it. But if you have your wrists completely straight, you have to put the bar lower in the meaty part of your hand, like across the bottom part near the thumb. And then you're going to try to keep your wrists as straight as you can, and you can use wrist wraps. I use them only when we're doing like 3 reps or lower, because you don't want to like shelter the body part or make it weak or anything like that. So we usually just put them on if we're doing heavy sets, but that'll keep your wrists nice and straight, which right away you're going to feel stronger and be able to transfer more power to the bar. So if you're not using wrist wraps, still just practice getting your wrists straight. And I had this muscle, I don't even know what it's called, you might know better than me, but this muscle in my forearm after I was starting to bench heavy, changing my form, and all of a sudden like my watch wouldn't like close around my wrist anymore because this like lower forearm bump showed up.
Yeah, so. No, it's like, right up by the wrist area. It's just like that. It's just like that muscle's probably there on most people. It's just not developed. So you developed a muscle, a part of the forearm that was just underdeveloped, that had to get stronger to be able to support that increased load and keep your wrist from bending and stuff like you've been talking about. And so, just as you just said, it's the bench has so much more to do with just or affects so many more muscles than just the chest. So everybody thinks chest, but your last tip is about how big of a movement this is, and your
we've been talking about all the different muscles involved, but we've talked about back. You've talked about rhomboids. It uses lats when you're lowering the weight down. You're even using your biceps to stabilize the weight as it's coming down. You're using your forearms. We all know the chest is involved, shoulders are involved, and we know the triceps are involved. I think everybody agrees on that. But not everybody knows that this is also your leg drive, using your legs. They're not supposed to be flopping there like kicking around while you're benching. They need to be planted hard into the ground and pressing off the ground. And that's why a lot of people put chalk on their back or get like a shirt that's got some good grip on the back of it, because if you're pushing hard with your legs and you're sweating, you could actually like slip on the bench. So that's how hard you should be pushing with your feet at the same time, that you can almost like push yourself off the bench. Scott Mendelson, who is, he was, I think, the record holder. Yeah. I don't think he is anymore.
For a time.
Yeah, and he used to have sore legs muscles after competing. That's how much he would use his leg drive. And he personally has said it's something that a lot of lifters don't utilize, is their leg drive. So, I mean, you're using almost your entire body. It's a full body exercise, the bench press, if you're doing it correctly. And if you use all these different muscle groups together and coordinate this and time this, you're going to get so much more power and be able to lift so much more weight.
Yeah.